Hey everybody, I'm going to do a video blog this week and I thought I would do it in the way of a story. I want to tell you about a man named Fred and his family and how his experiences, his circumstances led him to find kryptonite and how that changed the whole focus of this story. So Fred was a man who was very humorous, one of those guys that everybody loved, always very funny, always very humble, and he was tough. He was a medic in the army, worked as a physiotherapist in the hospital, always helping people, always a good heart behind his employment. And he was just one of those guys, never sick, never had a cold, didn't matter what was going on. He had a solution. He was a Superman, and his family really relied on him being that strong. And what happened was through the living conditions, the economic conditions that were going on with this family, there's a lot of stress. Fred eventually became very ill, and this was quite a shock to his family because, like I said, the man was never sick. It was partly due to genetics, partly due to a long lifetime of smoking and inactivity. But this, like I said, this was a big, huge shock. The man who was never sick, not even with a cold, at a young age of 56, was now more physically shape of an 80-year-old person, which is quite a contrast. So this Superman finding his kryptonite that was there kind of all along through his circumstances that nobody ever realized really eventually came to a head with this illness, and it completely changed the focus of everything this individual did and his family. For the individual, just having to park in a handicapped parking space, so he was able to walk into the store. This is a big change from somebody who used to golf all the time. And I think the biggest transformation probably came for the guy's son, because his whole focus, his whole world and view of his father as Superman really shattered it and changed not just his view on things of the immediate family, but changed the view on how he saw everything in the world. So from accessibility, how important it is to have those handicap spots, how important it is for people not to abuse those, or how important it is to have buildings accessible or make your classrooms accessible with every AODA compliance that you can do. These are really fundamental things that need to be there for people. And the other change I think the son felt was how important life is and where the focus society seems to put. I remember in the federal election he was complaining that the debate was focused 2 or 3 times solely around two women who didn't want to remove their religious head things for their citizenship thing. And I remember he was citing that out of all the problems that Canada has in the world, from post-antibiotic times that are coming up through, unemployment, all the issues that we face, that this was a main focus, that people in Canada seem to always focus on the wrong things. We focus on the fact parking at a hospital costs $20 and that's the worst thing in the world, and the complaints that come out of it, but the fact that we just received thousands and thousands of dollars in medical care was not appreciated. So it really changed the lens of the world in which they saw things. And the truth of the matter, that was my focus. That was my father, who had a few strokes, had severe heart problems, and it's really my focus that changed. It was my transformation, and upon looking back at it through the problem, what the process was, why it happened, it really had a big effect on me. And I think that's transformational learning.